Hello and welcome. I'm Exolite and this is my channel. Before we get started, if you would please, if you are not subscribed, would you go ahead and do so? And also, would you please like this video? You can always come back and dislike it if you are not happy with the content. It's completely free. No one's going to yell at you. Here we go. Justine Emmett was a university student majoring in forensic science. She was 21 years old, and from all outward appearances, she looked just like most other 21-year-old women. She was what some might call nondescript. There was nothing in particular that made her stand out in one's mind. Her hair was a mousy brown. Her eyes, just an average brown. She did not have freckles nor birthmarks. She was about 5 foot 6 inches tall, and her usual dress attire would consist of a t-shirt over a long-sleeved cotton shirt, jeans, and Converse shoes. She worked a part-time job at a hospital just 2 miles from the school. She assisted the coroner in his duties, which consisted mostly of helping to wash the body, prepare the coroner's tray of tools, taking photos, and occasionally speaking with the family members. Justine was working on her final thesis paper, which was on the topic of the psychological and biological differences in brain development of pathological murderers, better known as the serial killer. For as long as Justine could remember, she'd been fascinated by death. If she and her grade school friends came upon a dead bird, Justine would quickly take out the small green and yellow notebook she took with her everywhere, just in case, and a pencil. She'd sit on the ground, cross-legged, and begin to write down the details of the bird's corpse, often losing track of not only time, but of her friends who had long left her side. She would determine if the bird had a head injury. Hit a car windshield, perhaps? A broken wing? Injuries to its feathers and body? Killed by a cat? Was there blood in the area? And so on, until she felt that she'd done all the investigating possible to determine the cause of death. When she was a teenager, she convinced her father to let her attend surgeries on animals, taking notes about the position of the organs, what they looked like, what the incision looked like, and the tools used. No one was surprised that she wanted to be a forensic scientist. When it came time to write her thesis, Justine took to the internet. She joined discussions on unsolved murders. Why were they unsolved? Could murders that appeared completely different still be connected? Did a serial killer always follow a pattern, and if so, why? And if that pattern was reenacted over and over, did that make the cases not only easier to identify, even if committed across state lines, but would it make it easier for the killer to be caught? Her and hundreds of other amateur sleuths were now compiled all into the driver's seat of these cold cases, and she went deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole. On a Sunday morning at 2:34 a.m., as Justine was commenting on a theory on Reddit, she received a DM which simply read, "Link." Without hesitation, she clicked on the link. It was a blank page, except for a link in the word rabbit. Justine clicked on it and downloaded the search engine to her computer. She wasn't sure exactly why she'd been sent this link, but was intrigued by the new information that was now at her fingertips. She typed possible links to murders plus serial killings, and pages of information came up. Some redacted. Most contained scanned images of files from police agencies throughout the country. A DM came through. "Hi, I'm Roger." Justine typed, "Hi, Roger, I'm Persephone." Obviously, she used a username. She didn't particularly want her real name being tossed about on pages trying to link murders to serial killers. Then Justine typed, "Thanks for this. I had no idea. Can't wait to dig in." Roger replied, You seem different from the others. Just thought you might enjoy. Here's a chat link." And then the word Betty. Justine clicked on Betty and was taken to a chat community. The topics listed were a wide range of subjects, including some rather strange ones. Time of death. Is it possible to fool a coroner? Types of plants common to Oregon forests, and can anyone send me some to confuse? Diamond blades. List of trophies taken. Justine logged out. She was tired and knew that she'd be stuck there for hours if she started to look around. Tomorrow, she thought, as she crawled into bed and drifted off to sleep. The next morning there was a knock on her door. She slowly pulled back the covers as the cold winter air hit her. "Brr," she said out loud as she grabbed a robe and shuffled her feet to the door. She squinted her eyes towards the clock on the wall. 7:35. Who the hell is knocking at 7:35? She thought. And as she opened the door, her friend Marla was standing there with a smile way too big for such a cold early morning. She was also holding a rose. Marla pushed her hand with the rose towards Justine. "Here, found this leaning against your door," she cheerfully said. Justine took it, and dangling ever so gently off the stem was a piece of packaging string with a name tag attached. To Persephone. From Roger. Welcome. "Who's Roger?" asked Marla, and who the hell is Persephone? Justine was wiping the night from her eyes. "Oh, just some stuff for my paper. It's nothing." "Sure," said Marla. "Roses are always nothing," and she walked off chirping hello to everyone she passed. Justine closed the door, sat on her bed, and began to wonder what the hell was going on. How did Roger know where to send this rose to? Was this someone she knows? Maybe another student in her class. Yes, probably, she thought it. Of course. Who else would be skulking around random web pages in the same places as she was at the same time? Who would also know who she is? Should probably change my username, she thought. As she got up to put a pot of coffee on, and she opened her blinds, sat down at her desk. She clicked on Diamond Blades. "Oh, Jesus," she said out loud as the images loaded. There were pictures of deer, mostly, being cut up by circular saws. She turned up the volume. "This is a Hitachi red diamond, medium grain." The man, who was white, graying at the ears, heavy brown eyes, facial hair, maybe 45 years old, but appeared a little older. "This, in my opinion, gets the job done quickly and efficiently. Not a lot of flesh flying around." She closed out that page and went to a chat forum labeled "Leave a Trophy or Take a Trophy." There were about 25 people in the room. "Leaving trophies from other kills will confuse them jackboots," wrote Ditch Digger 2. "That's not practical," wrote Peaches and Cream 76. She continued, "First off, why would you try and blow your cover? Let's say you get picked up as a suspect for one of these things, and they figure out you left something from another crime scene. They start adding this shit up. Going to the house for one kill sure as hell beats for multiple, and as long as you're screwing around and throwing in stuff that doesn't belong, then you're asking for trouble. Shit, you can claim insane in the membrane for one, but after that, and leaving stuff, forget that." 4 hours later, Justine looked up from her laptop and noticed that the sky was gray, and it had been raining. She'd not even noticed. She'd fallen down this hole into a strange new universe of people who claimed to be serial killers. She'd been talking to them about the new science being used, how it won't be too long now before police will be able to see through the victim's eyes to watch what happened, like a goddamn DVD. She explained how close scientists were to getting able to take samples of the air around the victim or their clothes for DNA testing, that this DNA was being grabbed from air particles breathed out from the murderer. She started explaining ways to cheat the system as far as regular DNA goes. It's quickly becoming outdated, she typed, like fingerprints. It'll be used, but there's better things coming up. Her laptop pinged. Persephone, Roger here. She tried to type back into the chat box, but she was unable. Soon she realized why. Her mouse arrows zipped up to the search bar, and the typing started. Wonderland. Another blank page appeared with a single word. Hatter. Justine clicked on it and quickly got the blue screen of death. Oh, are you kidding me right now? She clicked to restart her computer, but nothing happened. She clicked to close all programs, and nothing happened. She pushed the power button while saying, "A hard restart, huh, jerk?" And still, nothing happened. Then, there was static on the screen in multiple colors, like an old-fashioned TV when the channel went off the air. And up popped a black screen. There was a list on the left. Red rooms, live cams, CTV attacks, less is better, poor thing, little rich girl. Then, Persephone. She tried to type in response, but nothing showed up on the screen. "I think you'll find this helpful," was slowly typed across the black screen. Her mouse pointer came back into frame, and she was finally able to control her computer again. And she clicked on Live Cams. A live stream went up, a camera in a bar somewhere. She couldn't hear anything, but it zoomed in on a man and a woman. The woman got up, leaving her drink on the table. The man looked into the camera and took a dropper from his pocket. He put the drops into the drink, and a few moments later, the woman was back. Justine watched intensely while the woman became what appeared to be sloppy drunk. The man walked her out of the bar. A camera followed. She watched as the woman raised her hand for a taxi. The man grabbed her arm, put her in a car, and the camera person got into the back seat. By the time the knock came on Justine's door, she'd seen the same type of dissection done on this woman that she'd seen her father do on countless animals. She was at once repulsed and then also completely fascinated. Within a day or two, Justine began to slowly become immersed in watching the live cam pages and was even occasionally visiting the chats. She'd mentioned that she was writing a paper and what it was about. The chatters were eagerly giving her their opinions and thoughts. And before long, she had been skipping classes to dive deeper and deeper into this frightening and deadly subculture. For her, the lines began to blur. Her preconceived notions began changing, and who she was seemed to become affected. On Tuesday night, there was a knock on her door, and her friend Dubs asked if she wanted to go hang out. She declined, but he was rather insistent that she get out of her room. He handed her a sticky note that someone had put on her door, and it read, "Lizard Lounge." "What's this?" she asked. Dubs replied, "I don't know. It was stuck on your door. I know some people that are going there tonight, though, to see a band. You want to head over?" She grabbed her cropped leather jacket, pulled her hair into a ponytail, changed into some new jeans, and began walking to the Lizard Lounge with Dubs. Williams was his name. Dubs was his nickname. and she'd known him since they were in the first grade. "So, why are you hibernating?" he asked her. "I am neck deep into this paper," she responded. "Well, you have to stick your head out sometimes, Justine." And he poked her. "Besides, you're gonna start stinking." And she laughed. Dubs was wearing a blue North Face jacket, cowboy boots, and she could see a white collar peeking out. They came to what looked like a car garage. There were no lights, no signs, but it seemed familiar to Justine somehow. "Hey, over here," he called out. As she walked around to the side, there was a door. Nothing special, nothing giving any indication that this was anything more than a garage of some type. But as soon as he pulled the door open, she was taken aback by the smell of smoke and the thump-thump of a bass guitar. People talking so loudly they were nearly yelling. More than a few dancing. A dimly lit bar. Tables with stools. And she recognized the place immediately as being the bar on one of the first live cams she'd seen. She looked around and saw the table the camera had been focused on that night. It was empty, and just from pure morbid curiosity she began to feel driven to go sit there. She started to walk towards it. "Yeah, you get the table," hollered Dubs, motioning with his hands. "I'll get the drinks." She nodded her head and sat facing where the camera had been that first night. It was dark, so she was squinting her eyes to see if there was one there tonight. It hadn't even occurred to her to be frightened. "What are you looking at?" asked Dubs, squinting his eyes in the same direction. "Damn, gonna get cancer from secondhand smoke." He coughed and put down 2 whiskey and cokes and 2 shots of tequila. "Really?" asked Justine. "Hitting it hard?" "Yeah. Thought we should hit the ground running. You seem pretty tense." "Maybe I'm just intense," smiled Justine. Yeah, that's it. That's the one word I'd use to describe that girl who cried at the top of the slide every time we went to the park." "Hey, now!" She play-punched his arm. "I was afraid of heights." She laughed and drank the shot. "Yeah, those terrifying 5 feet," laughed Dubs, as he made the cheers motion with his shot glass. Justine watched the guy as he walked in, his hand on the lower part of his date's back, gently guiding her in. She was looking around, trying to get her eyes adjusted to the dark and the smoke. He pointed to the table next to theirs. She placed her purse on the table, a gold-beaded handbag. She looked out of place with her Louboutins. New. Not even a scuff on the iconic red bottoms of the 6-inch heels. A Chinese floral print black Yves Saint Laurent mini dress. A tiny white gold heart locket dangling from her neck. Justine knew that the back would be stamped, "If found, please return to Tiffany's." "Hey!" Dubs interrupted her train of thought. "Huh?" she responded. "I asked, how is your paper going?" "Oh, okay, I guess. I'm kind of doing some research, a little off the reservation stuff." "What does that mean?" asked Dub. She knew she couldn't tell him the truth. Or maybe she could. He was always her surgical assistant when they were kids. She smiled, remembering the 2 of them. "Scalpel," she'd say, putting out her hand. Dub would repeat her. "Scalpel," he'd say, and hand her her mother's best paring knife. She decided against telling him. Just kind of thinking outside the box a little, trying to think about what's inside a serial killer's head, like, what's their point of view? The attraction, I guess." "Oh, I see," said Dub, sipping from his glass. "So, should I be worried?" he asked, and she laughed. "Well, not yet, but it is still early." She swallowed her drink in one gulp, raised her hand, caught the eye of the bartender, and motioned for 2 more of the same. And as she did, she saw the guy she'd been watching earlier. He picked up 2 drinks, grabbed a couple of cocktail napkins, and made his way over to his date. As he put the drink down, he rubbed his pinky finger over the woman's hand, and she pulled it away. She didn't jerk it away as to draw attention to her rejection, but slowly, and put both hands on her lap. It's not the first time she's been in this type of situation, thought Justine. Okay, said Dub. What's the story? And he tilted his head towards the couple she'd been watching. This had always been a game they'd play. They would make up a story about someone in a restaurant or a bar and tell the other person. Justine leaned in. All right, so he's like a car salesman or something, I think. Luxury cars, though. Used, probably. He makes just enough money to look like he could have money, but he really doesn't. See the scuffs on his Paul Evans? Those are $400 a pop. Not too expensive, but expensive enough that he feels like he dropped a pretty penny on them, and he's going to wear them until they fall apart. A few scuffs aren't going to get in the way of that. His suit. Brooks Brothers. Same thing. $600 probably, but he got his on sale. See the cuffs of the pants? Tailored, but not professionally. And at the heel, it's wearing a little bear. $30 haircut, $100 dress shirt, $50 tie, and the watch. Not his. Well, it's his, but it's been passed down. Not a scuff on it. It's Cartier, 1940s. He only wears it when he wants to impress, and he knows better than to treat it roughly. His father probably taught him that, and his grandfather before that. She's the real deal. Works in fashion. That dress hasn't been released yet. Those shoes brand new. She's a boarding school brat. She can smell his thirst a mile away, and that's okay with her. She doesn't like the guys her daddy sets her up with, but she will marry one. This is the mouse that Kitty likes to play with. She'll stumble back to her family's estate. Her father will hear her. He'll be pissed, and she'll be happy about that. Mom is passed out in bed by now. Nice, I must say, said Dub. However, which one is the serial killer? Justine drank her shot. Oh, is one a serial killer? She asked. Definitely, Dub began. Do tell, said Justine. Him, said Dub. Oh, why him? Well, he stole that watch when he killed his last victim. Justine smiled. All right, okay. A twist in the story, she laughed. Excuse me for a minute, said Dub as he got up to use the bathroom. He winked at her. Ms. Rich and Mr. Serial Killer stood up a couple of minutes later. Again, he put his hand on her lower back, but he slid it a bit lower this time. Ick, thought Justine. And then her phone beeped. She grabbed it from her bag. Smile, Persephone. You're on candid camera. She quickly looked around the room, and behind her she saw a red light blink from behind the 12 on an old clock hanging on the wall. 5 tables away she watched a man in a leather jacket notice the light too, and he stood up. He started walking towards her, and suddenly she felt both terrified and excited. But he turned and followed the couple out the door. Dub sat back down. You okay? He asked. Yeah, listen. I should probably head back home, she said. Me too, agreed Dub. Early morning for me. Well, I need to work on my paper, replied Justine. But She really wanted to get back to her computer and to take a look through that camera. As her and Dub got back into the car, he was heard to say, "Listen, Persephone, there's something I need to tell you about." Justine Emmett and William McCleary were never seen again. They vanished into thin air. 1,600 miles away, a man clicked on a link called Little Rich Girl, Red Room 1010. As the screen came on, there was a woman sitting in a chair, her hands tied behind the chair, each foot in black high heels with red bottoms tied to the leg of the chair. Her dress, black with flowers, was dirty, and she had droplets of blood coming from her mouth. Her hair was tangled, her eyes were taped shut, blood dripped from under the tape of one eye. There was tape on her mouth, one cheek bruised. Then a voice with a thick southern accent. A man walked out. He was wearing a suit with a fancy-looking watch. "Today is a treat. Today is the first day of the rest of one woman's life." A man walked into the room and put his hand up to block the light. He was holding the hand of a woman. "Roger, who do we have here?" asked the announcer, and the woman walked forward a bit. The man patted her on the shoulder, and she rubbed his just where the North Face logo was. My name is Persephone," she said. "Well, Persephone, what would you like first?" asked the announcer. I'll take the scalpel," she said with more confidence. The man beside her walked over, took the scalpel off the wall and said, "Scalpel," and handed it to her. Thank you for coming. I hope you liked my story, and again, please, if you are not subscribed and you would like to be, click that subscribe button, and also please give this video a thumbs up. It helps my channel. And if you would like to be notified of my new content or when we have a podcast, go ahead and click that bell. Good night.